Hello, my friends. How are you doing? Is the microphone working? Yes, it looks good. Hello, hello. Hi, Renee. Thank you from Holland. Best wishes to Holland. Hi, Marco. Thanks for joining. Hi, Brian. Hi, Oliver from Germany. Thank you. Hi, Guy. Thanks for joining. Pretty cool to have everybody here. Post in the chat where you're from. That's always good. It's always nice to see other people from everywhere. Hi, Quentin. Thanks for joining. Hi, Ingo. Good to see you again in the chat. Really nice to have all these people here again. All right. Quentin is from Switzerland. That's awesome. Martin from Shetland. Hi, how are you doing? Pretty awesome. Okay, so let's get the stream started. A little bit of intro, of course, a little bit of saying hello. How was your day? How is everything? Hi, guys from Belgium, from Ghent. Pretty nice. Yeah. Hi, Jay. Christoph is from Germany. Hi. Thanks for joining. Pretty awesome. Okay. Excited today. Today is the first stream ever where we do a giveaway for the weekly challenge, as you might have seen from the post I've done on my community tab on YouTube and also the Facebook group and also on Patreon. So, yeah. Which mic am I using? This is an old Zoom H2, so it's a pretty old mic. It's usually a field mic, so this has like, you can put batteries inside, you can go outside, record. It records on both sides or just on one side. It's pretty good. I was thinking about getting an upgrade, but actually the quality of this mic is really, really good. So if you can get a used one, that is a pretty good one. Yeah. So yeah, and it's perfect for the stream. Also having it close to the mouth, of course, is good with this little arm here. I created videos, I think about 1.5 years or 2 years with having a glass jug and then having the microphone standing on the glass jug. And then I bought this arm here and this kind of thingy here where the microphone is in with this kind of rubber stripes here. And before I just used like a glass jug upside down microphone on top, like really low tech. Okay. Hey, Barry. Oh, from Australia. Awesome. Very nice. Thank you for joining. I have some relatives in Melbourne, actually, in Australia. I think I have been there twice. Traveled a little bit, mostly the east side, up the east coast, and then with the Ghan through the middle. From, what is it? From Perth to Adelaide or something like that? Like completely through the middle. A really nice train trip. Very, very cool. Takes 2 days. Hi, Brett from Canada. Thanks for joining. Hi, Snesana from Serbia. Thank you very much for joining. Pretty cool. Very nice. I want to travel Canada someday. Especially after the pandemic is over and we can travel free again. I want to do a lot more traveling. Hi, Marco from, oh yeah, okay, he's saying hello to Snezna, Serbia. Okay, pretty awesome. Okay, as you can see up here, Sunset Magic Pack is the newest pack. And also, by the way, just to remind you, this is also the first time where I do like an early bird discount. So what I'm doing is that with the discount, you have the same price as the packs before. And then after this discount ends, which is on Tuesday, it's going to be a higher price, which is going to be the new normal price. But I will introduce the new packs always with this kind of reduced price for people who get it early. And then it's going a little bit up from that. Yeah, so take advantage of that if you can. I should have prepared a link maybe. Let me look for the link here if I can find that real quick, so you can. I should have put that in the video description maybe. The shop page is getting really slow. 1 second. Not for you, for me. So don't worry about that. It should work perfectly for you. Copy link address. Yes, let's put this in here. Sunset Magic Pack. There we go. Okay, boom. So that's the link. Check that out. As it says, as you can see, it says early bird. So it's still cheaper right now. Okay. Hi, Christian from Frankfurt. Thanks for joining. Pretty awesome. Okay. Yeah. Should we start already? How long is the stream already? Because I want to, by a public demand, I'm making the streams shorter, so it's 2 hours now. It seems to be a good time for most people, and also Sunday seems to be a good day for most people. They have off, and also with the different time zones and stuff like that. Hi, Shaolu from Sevilla. Thank you very much for joining. Pretty awesome. First time I watch your live stream. Awesome. Thank you. It's pretty cool. Good. Yeah. All right. So let's get started with the reviews of the challenges. As you know, I do a challenge every week. Let's switch over so you can see my screen. There we go. And so this is the challenge this time. I used one of the gradients here to also create this kind of preview. As you can see, wait a second. So there's a prize of the winner, basically, who gets a pro pack of their choice, excluding the Sunset Magic pack, because this is the pack right now that is used for the challenge, so that wouldn't have made much sense. Okay. Let's keep the chat over here so I see what you're writing. There you go. Okay. So one thing to point out here for the first entries from Erhard, for example, the pack is for sunset pictures. So this is a kind of important part for that. It's for if you already have a sunset picture, or a sunrise picture also works, where you have these colors in the sky, and the gradients help you to adjust the colors and make them really beautiful. But it's not the idea is not to turn a normal everyday picture into a sunset picture. And these, for example, this first picture is not really a sunset, you know. So you can use it, but it might look a little bit strange. And also what you want to do here, and you can see it here, that the colors are very strong in the trees also, is that you either use the blend modes, sorry, not the blend modes, the blend ranges, or create a mask for these areas, because right now you can just see that this is overlaying that part, so it doesn't look very natural. The sky is nice. It has a little bit of this kind of violet in there, so that is good. And I will show you some more tricks afterwards, especially in these white, very bright areas. The color doesn't work, so you have to make them a little bit darker, so you get better colors in there, which I also show in the free online course that's included. It's like a half an hour video that also, and I will show some of that stuff also today in the video, especially also about the apps, because I think that is something a lot of people don't know about, and they can be, whoa, I need to mute my phone. I'm sorry about that. What was I about to say? They can help you a lot in taking better pictures and getting the right light situation in there and preparing for the shots where they should be. This is another example where it's basically a photo during the day with no sunset situation in there. And again, you can apply to that, but you have to do some more editing, and it might look a little bit strange. So this is why. And also in this case, you can clearly see that the gradient wasn't rotated. So in Affinity Photo, if you create a gradient, it usually is going to the side, but we want to have it upside down, because this is how the sunset, of course, works, the horizon works. So you just need to use your gradient tool to paint it in, or rotate the rectangle 90 degrees so you get the right direction. This is why this is pink on the right side, and then yellow in the middle, and then darker here. This should be the other way around, right? So that didn't work. So these are some mistakes to avoid. I think the most of the other pictures are better in that regard. This is a very good edit here. Look at that. Pretty nice. It's really cool that you also posted the before and after pictures, as was requested by the challenge. So that's pretty important. Hi, Volkmar from Bavaria. Thank you very much for joining. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's go to the next picture. And in this case with Brett, he posted this picture. So let's go through the before picture. And very nice sunset photo, of course. And then the after picture is has nice colors, as you can see, really like these nice, a little bit of violet, a little bit of orange there, so it has this really good feeling, and it's just a slight change. And this is also something that is kind of nice to think about. It doesn't always have to be super different and super drastic in the editing. You can see here the difference between these pictures is not really big, but it has a huge impact at the same time because the colors are just nicer and you have a certain specific feeling you want to have in the sunset. And this is also the important part about the pack, is also the understanding that a picture can be a lot of different things. And the most important part about a photo is actually kind of emotion that you get as a viewer from looking at it. And of course, a sunset can have a lot of different kind of feelings and emotions and styles, and just the way the colors look, the way it expresses it, the way also these colors, and also, how can I say, the light and the contrast, like with the vignette, change the shape of the how the landscape feels. This is also part of the online course, by the way, how to influence that a little bit. And you can see that even the smallest changes can have a really huge impact in there, you know, from changing the emotion. So that is pretty cool. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so Zachary has posted something. He started out with a raw file, which in these situations is a really good idea because you can do a lot more editing on a raw file. And especially with the sunset, you want to do a lot of, you want to have a lot of freedom, you want to have a lot of range in there to adjust the colors and add your own kind of thing. And also, usually when you take a photo, especially with a raw file, you want to set it to flat, and then from the camera it doesn't look really good because all the colors are flat and muted and they look like gray. It looks like a horrible picture because you want to have these flat colors so you have a bigger range afterwards to be able to edit the picture and get out of the picture all these kind of things that are essential for the picture. And you can see here that you can do a lot of editing. So it's pretty impressive that you can get from this picture, from this photo here, go to this picture. And this is something that RAW is really helpful with. So in these kind of situations, actually a pretty good idea. It's pretty noisy though, but that's okay. I mean, that's really depending on the situation you're using. Zachary also used an ND filter, so that can also be very helpful. That leaves a blue tint. Oh, that's interesting. So I thought this was photographed through the blue hour, where everything like turns blue just from the way the sunlight works. So that is really interesting, but you can see the huge change that is happening here. And yeah, it's very nice. Really cool edit. And also nice atmosphere with the colors in here. And yeah, I really like that. Very nice change. And you even cropped it a little bit. You can see here on the right side, there is that kind of stuff here is missing, and you rotated it a little bit so the bridge is becoming actually flat for the horizon. So that's very nice. Pretty cool. A lot of interesting edits in here. Very nice soft blur here on the water. Is that kind of a long time exposure, right? Because also the clouds, they look like they have moved during the shot. Maybe. So that's really interesting. Okay, very nice edit. Pretty cool. So, oh, there's another one. Wow. Okay, this one is more on the extreme side from Noel. It was a long time exposure. Did you use a tripod for that? In that case, because some parts are a little bit blurry here and it's kind of noisy. So maybe you did it from the free hand. And, or, I don't know, might be some other reasons. It's always, by the way, this is also a good advice. You can get these kind of remotes for your camera, and they are not very expensive. We can look real quick. Let's go to Amazon.com so you can have the English page. You can read what it's saying. Oh, it's actually a German page still. Camera remote. So, you can get these little things here. You can see they can be really cheap. You get some more expensive ones also. You need to see if they work with your camera, stuff like that. And the benefit of that is that you don't have to touch your camera during the shot. and you can just take a series of shots, because you can also set the self timer, and that will basically also make a picture without you having to press the button. But with the remote, you can just like make multiple pictures in a like easier way, and you don't have to touch the camera, because this of course shakes the camera if you touch it, and then you can get blurry areas in here. Or use an app on your phone. Oh, that's also a good possibility. If your camera can interact with a phone, then that is also good. Absolutely, I didn't think about that. That's actually a very good way to also do that. And you probably might also have more settings in the app. If it's from the camera maker or some more advanced app, you might even get a live preview and other settings and have a bigger screen than on your phone. So that can have a lot of interesting uses if you work with the app. We can also look into that. I want to do more about photography. Wait, so this is the after picture. Where's the before picture? There you go. So this is the before picture is actually pretty nice also. And the after picture is pretty intense. And this is like I said, it really depends on what you want to do with the picture. It's absolutely okay if you do a really intense, like burning sky, and this is like this kind of very emotional sunset. That's also great. But you could, with this picture, also just do a slight change like we have seen before. So this, as you can see, it has a lot of, there's a lot of range in there. I think like, I would say that sunsets are some of the most versatile pictures in how much emotion and how much expression you can put into the picture just by adjusting the colors. You can see how this is really, really different. It's very nice. Canon has their own app. Okay, pretty cool. That is very nice. Zachary says, yeah, I used a tripod and a remote. It was my first go at a longer exposure. The noise is from lifting the shadows. I see. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. I mean, the good thing about using a tripod is that you also can set the ISO pretty low, because exposure time isn't that important unless something is moving in the picture, of course. So then you need a shorter exposure. But if it's something static like a landscape, you can set or a building or something like that, you can set your ISO pretty low with a tripod and take the picture. Okay, pretty cool. Let's go to the next one. Oh, this is a nice change. So John, thank you very much for posting this one. Let's again look at the before and after. And you can see like how this changes the landscape and the expression of the landscape, which is really nice. So this is the before picture, and this is the after picture. Lots of emotion in here, lots of colors, very nice. So pretty cool. We will talk a little bit also about the details in here. So you can see, for example, the darker parts of the clouds are maybe a little bit too bright. So you can adjust that a little bit to play around with that. And also you can do a lot with dodge and burn to really shape the landscape. And not really shape the landscape in the sense of changing the formation of the landscape, but we understand surfaces by how it receives light and shadow. So by painting in lighter parts and darker parts, you can create like more of an understanding of the depth of a landscape, and also you can bring things forward or move things back, so they have a bigger distance, and this basically shapes it visually. You know, you can also use Liquify and actually change the landscape, but that's a different story. I'm more talking about light and shadow here. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so a lot of people seem to use the app. That is interesting. I have to look more in the apps. We can also do a review about the apps. And as I've told you, by the way, if you have my newsletter, I also told you about what's going to happen in the next weeks. And one of these things is that I will do an Everything Can Happen Tuesday, which is that first Tuesday of the month. So it's once a month where I create a tutorial for something that is explicitly not Affinity Photo, but shows you another software tool and how to use it and what the kind of benefits can be. And of course, because this time it's about landscape, it will be more focused on that. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. You can also suggest tools if you want to. Okay, so thank you very much, John. Really cool, very nice edit, very nice atmosphere in the picture. And by the way, another thing that is interesting, if we look at that, if you look at the large picture and then the small picture, like here in the preview, the interesting part is that you can see here that the smaller picture looks different and feels different than the larger picture. And this is also something you might keep in consideration when you think about, where do I want to share it? Where do people look at my picture? And for example, for online creators, a common trick is that if they know it's just going to be seen in this kind of small preview, like for example on Instagram or as a thumbnail for YouTube or stuff like that, you might have more saturation in there. You might want to over sharpen the picture. Then it does not look good when you make it big, but it looks better when it's small, because the smaller view desaturates it and makes it look more blurry. So if you over sharpen it, oversaturate it a little bit, it looks better in the preview, and most people aren't gonna look at it in a bigger way. For example, on Instagram, you have your phone, it's only gonna be a really small square anyway. So yeah, you can think about these kind of things depending on where do you want to post a picture, who's your crowd. All right, let's go. This one was really interesting. I was about to write him that this can't be the same picture. You might have made a mistake. It's really interesting that this is from Klaus, and he cropped in a lot. These don't look like the same pictures at all. And then you look at that and you see, oh, there's a boat in the background, and you have these fishermen here in the front. Wait a second, I don't see my chat. There you go. Okay. And actually, if you look at that, this is the ship here in the background. It was just cropped that much. Although, was it? Is it the same picture? Because there we have some trees. Did you edit the trees in afterwards, maybe? That's interesting, because there you have these trees, so you shape the landscape in that way. Or it's an actual, but I think it's the same picture, right? Let's look at the plants. There's... Or did you copy that? No, that looks very similar. No, there's these two here. And then there's this one coming up right behind the boat. But this is missing here. So maybe that is actually a different picture. I'm a bit confused. And also you replaced the sky. So maybe you edited the landscape also on top of that to add a lot more things in there. So you did a lot of changes, not just the landscape. Yeah, also, of course, remove the power lines, stuff like that. So there's a ton of editing in here. Oh, and maybe you remove parts of the trees here because it's kind of interfering with the background. I'm not sure what this is. It can't be sun rays, because the sun is apparently over here when we go by the brightness and the color. So, okay, interesting. It's a very extreme edit, I would say, but it's a nice attempt at the same time. You have to start somewhere. It's a bit too extreme, I would say. And this is, by the way, this is a common beginner's mistake. Sorry if I phrase it that way, but even if you're not a beginner, it often happens with beginners. I'm not saying you are a beginner. Maybe this is your photographic style. But one thing that is often done with beginners is that they overdo the colors and they overdo the contrast, because it kind of looks good, you know, like in other kind of areas where you just overdo it. And then like you can compare a lot of things in life with cooking. And when you're new to cooking, you season it, for example, and or overcook it, and then over time you get more accustomed to the how to say, the finer details of it, and how to understand them, how to measure them. So that's a good and a good way is, and this is good that you can do this easily with photography, is that you can simply compare it to other pictures online. So I would also always inspire you to just look at other pictures that you find online that you really like and see how much editing do they put in there? How extreme are the colors in there? Of course, I know there's pages out there where they overdo it constantly, so maybe move a little bit away from them, because the overdoing it comes more from the competition. Like I can remember back in the days on Flickr, everybody had his their pictures very like these candy color pictures where it's like really overdone with the colors, because if you do it normally like you would if you have a like just good looking picture, it looks almost black and white compared to these really overdone pictures. So yeah, orientate yourself on the kind of photographers you really like, you know. Okay, just to point it out, not saying this is in your case, just saying it's a general kind of mistake that everybody makes, including me. All right. Oh, nice. Okay, here we have another one by Niels. Very cool. Very nice feeling in there. And again, here you can see how this is interesting on how it changes the landscape. So this is the original picture. And then, so this looks kind of, how would you say in English? Like more depressing or more like sad from the landscape? Not that happy. And this one here, if you look at this edit, looks more like romantic and happy and positive and lovely, and is a very different kind of landscape, very different feeling. Did you add some birds? Oh, you did. I think, I'm kind of sure these are the Luminar birds, right? Did you use Luminar to edit them in? I kind of think they are. Okay, pretty cool. I like also the glamour glow here, so that's also very nice, really cool. And this is also, there's like all these kind of, how can I say, oh God, I don't, I'm missing the English words again. These kind of style expressions, let's phrase it like that, where you use different kind of styles, different kind of effects like this glow. Wait a second, I need to sneeze, 1 second. It's not coming, okay. All right, let's go back to this. So you can see how this also changed that. By the way, this is another thing you have to look out for if you start to edit your pictures. If you overdo an effect, you might get these kind of glowy borders here. You can see it pretty good here, but also a little bit around the trees and the edges, so where there's high contrast. You get these kind of effects. So always look at the edges. If you do adjustments, always look at these kind of harsh contrast. Do you get the glowing border or not? And if you do, you have to just tune back your edit a little bit so you don't get that. It's not apparent here. I think there is still a little bit left probably, but it's probably also hidden by the glow and the colors that have been applied to that. So that's pretty awesome. Very nice, really cool edit. Okay. Wait a second. We should, I should open up some pictures here that I liked a lot, because we have to choose a winner today also. Okay, here's another one from Eileen. Thank you very much for showing that one. Pretty cool. There we go. So this is the before. That's a very nice picture. And then we have the after, also very nice, really cool. Interesting editing with the violet here on the horizon, and then it's getting a lighter blue up here. So that is pretty nice. I would suggest you to make these shadows here maybe a little bit darker. This is something, let's see on the original picture. Okay, they are pretty bright here too, which is kind of a fog situation actually in the original picture. You can dehaze that a little bit with the dehazing effect in Affinity Photo, or you can also use the curves for that to adjust that kind of thing. And this, by the way, that would be a good image to like in this case, the foreground became rather dark, which is okay because you can see how much more focus you have then on the mountain. So that is pretty cool. Let's go back here. And here you can see like the difference here between the mountain and the foreground is not as big. So you would basically look at both of them, while here you mainly look at the mountain. So this is kind of becoming the main focus here. If you wouldn't make this so dark, just not that you should, like it's okay like this, but if you would keep this brighter, this is a very nice area to use dodge and burn here to make some areas darker, to make some areas brighter, to just shape this, and this gives it more depth and makes it more 3D and more like real. You can almost grasp it. You can almost like, not grasp it, you touch it, right? So we can look at that also later. What is the time of the stream? Oh, we're already at 30 minutes. Okay, good. So let's go on here. We have a lot of entries, by the way, today. So this is why I'm also going a little bit quicker. But also things are repeating. So yeah, that's also good. Okay, this is another nice one where you changed a lot of things. Wow, this is an extreme edit here. Very nice sky in the background. You not only changed the sky, but edit. I'm not sure if this is part of the original picture, but these kind of extra clouds here that are a little bit darker give a very nice touch to just otherwise like a uniform background. But this adds a kind of new level of depth to the sky. Very nice orange on the mountains, and this kind of blue on the valley is very cool. And oh, you also edited some trees here, which is also very nice. Okay, pretty cool. This is very nice. And this is another thing that's really important about landscape editing, or especially about nature photography, landscape photography, all these kind of things. Try to find a perspective on the subject or the thing you want to photograph where you guide the eye a little bit. And that is often kind of hard to do because nature, of course, by the way it grows, by the way it is kind of uniform. So you have to kind of trick the camera into getting you a nice visual guide there, a nice way to look at the things through the perspective, through the angle of the camera, stuff like that, to give the viewer something to look at. You know, if it's just like a huge mesh of different foliage and stuff, it's confusing. It's not as fun to look at it. And here you did a really great job to do that. Also, these kind of that you made this part brighter and then also close the bottom off with these extra trees is a very nice move. You can see like this otherwise would be open, and now it's closed, and it creates also this little like round area around this village here. So this comes more into center, and the trees go towards the village, so you look more at that, and then this points up towards the sky with the mountains in the background. So there's a lot of guiding of the eye in there. So very nice, very cool edit, really nice. Also, I like how the sky was edited. Very nice touch. A thing that often happens, and I think it's also here this time, is that when these things are done, you can clearly see that the sun is in the background, and usually this should be in the shadow. So basically this would be a landscape with two suns because the sun is coming here from the right side in, as you can see by the shadows here, and then it's also coming from the back towards the mountains. So technically that wouldn't work, but artistically it looks good. So you have to go with the idea, and this is like a really long discussion that has always been part of art. Should it be about the ideal or should it be about the nature? What do you want to depict in the photo, you know? So or in the picture, in the artwork. So we have to think about that. I think both approaches are okay depending on what you want to do with that. All right, I will keep one of those open. And here we have the next one, okay, from Oliver. There we go, let's look at that. And let's see what has happened here. So this is a nice picture of a bridge, really nice, also guiding of the eye. There is someone walking here, that's very nice. And here we have the change, that's a lot darker, interestingly enough. And there's a lot of color in there. So it is nice, but it's also like one of the problems here, of course, is you have this kind of overexposure here. And of course, it's not easy to take these pictures, especially if you photograph towards the sun, into the sun, basically, to not have these kind of areas of overexposure in there. One thing I would probably have made different here is to, like, again, with dodge and burn, to shape the landscape a little bit, maybe to keep these parts here a little bit brighter, because now everything is uniformly dark, and then where you had light before, you have now this very nice cognac colored light there, which is really cool. And also you get this nice contrast for the person, so you see the person really nice as a silhouette against the background, so that is pretty nice. But the rest is like everything has the same darkness. So if you paint in here a little bit, make these areas brighter, make these areas on the side a little bit darker, just to shape that a little bit, and like open up the landscape to the sky, if you know what I mean. So to the eye, not to the sky, sorry. That could be really helpful to have that. Okay, but otherwise it's a nice edit. So it's a good starting point. You could maybe have this a little bit more blue, but it's good. It's nice. Okay, pretty cool. Let's close this again. Let's go for the next one. Here we have a very slight change from Sue. So let's look at that. Okay, nice big landscape. And this, okay, this is one where I don't know which is the before, which is the after. The one that has, this is a very slight change. I think this is the, let's do this again, sorry. Okay, so this is the after and this is the before. So this is the after and this is the before. I mean, the after has nicer colors with this blue and orange here, but the before is nicer from the depth feeling of the landscape with these clouds here and such. This feels a little bit flat, so you might want to work a little bit with the blend ranges of the underlying picture to get this darkness back here in the cloud and just have the colors in the sky. And maybe you can have a little bit, of course, of colors in the cloud also, but this makes them very bright and takes out the depth of the landscape. And also, it reduced this here a little bit. This, again, is a thing where you can use dodge and burn to just make this, like you can see here, when this is brighter and this is darker around there, you get this nice path towards the sun, this kind of glowing, golden-looking path that's really beautiful and kind of a trademark of the sunset over water. And here it's kind of vanishing into the landscape. So to bring that back, that would be good. That would be a good idea to adjust that. All right. Let's close these. Let's go on. Is there a before picture? Oh, yeah, there we have. Oh, wow. Okay. That's a strong change here. Pretty good. Let's see. Wow. Okay. That's a burning sky. Pretty awesome. Very dreamy. And this is the before, which is also nice, but not as intense as you can see. And yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a very nice edit. I like that the foreground has also this kind of orange touch because all of the sky is orange. So that is pretty nice. You have a little bit of color banding here, but that might be Facebook just recompressing the picture. I would probably have, again, with dodge and burn, like painted a little bit on these different areas here that we are seeing, so we can see more of the of these structures here, and like shape them a little bit, make them a little bit feel more 3D, because they are kind of the star here of the picture. Of course, the lens, that the sunset is very important, but I would see that these columns here and the rest of the stones have a certain importance too. So you don't have to like highlight all of them, but maybe paint some of them in with dodge and burn, right? to play around with that a little bit. By the way, if you're confused what I'm talking about, if I say that, let's copy this over here. Usually you would do it a little bit different, but now I have all of this on one layer. And basically, what you're doing is, I don't use usually the dodge and burn tool of Affinity Photo. I rather use my own layer. So add pixel layer, set this to soft light, and then you can use a brush. And with the brush, you set this, open this up here, and then you can go everything that's over 50, where it says here L for luminance. Over 50 makes it brighter, and under 50 makes it darker. So you can play around with that, and you can paint on different areas. You want to set your brush a little bit softer. Let's make this a little bit bigger here. Is this too big? No, that's actually okay. And you can also reduce the opacity, so you can paint more strokes over that. And then you can actually start to shape different areas here. And it would be a good idea maybe to mask this out. Let's maybe try this real quick. Let's see. I'm just giving you like a short preview. I'm gonna go into more detail later. Let's make a mask here and then make this a little bit more blurred. Feather. Let's set this to, let's say, 3 in that case. And then I can go back in here with my brush. And now you can see that, for example, I could paint on this side here and make this part here a little bit brighter in the picture, like so. And then I could go on the other side and make this area here a little bit darker. Let's make this more dark, like so. And okay, we can maybe also, let's go here and create a curve. Let's see if we make a little bit more contrast on that area. Whoa, okay, that's not good. Nope. Okay, just to show you kind of the effect I'm talking about, it now has this stupid edge here, so this is why you wouldn't do it like that, but just to show you that, you see, if I turn this off and on, you can basically change the light situation on that object. You can see now it's in towards the area that's towards the sunset is brighter, and then this part is in shadow, and before it's kind of uniform. So you can play around with that. You can also try to make the foreground brighter. So that would be probably better if you make the foreground brighter and then paint in darker parts. Yeah. So we will look at that in a second in more detail. But you can see how this can influence the look here. You can also do other things with that. 1 second. Let's create a mask here again from that. Oh, this is... Okay, that's not good. There we go. I can also do... Let's see, 1 second. Don't want to spend too much time on that, but... let's see. Let's paint in a little bit like that here. And then let's use a blend mode. Go with screen, color dodge. Let's use the blend ranges here, so we are more affecting the lighter parts of the image. Okay, so it's just a little bit of a touch, but, and again, like this shouldn't be there with this kind of line, so that's a bit stupid right now. But you can see now that we also have added some kind of orange light glow to that. Let's zoom out here a little bit. And okay, so this is without it, and this is okay. Wait a second. I will just make merge visible so we don't have these blue lines there, and then turn all of this off. Okay, now if I click on this, you can see that basically you can shape that by just painting on it a little bit. And I just did like a quick preview of that. You would do it in more detail and a little bit different here, but I only have one layer to work with right now. But you can see how this goes from a flat column where you don't see that much to a column that kind of follows the light that's coming from the sun and gives it more kind of this kind of 3D shape and puts more attention on that kind of object. And if you do it with more of these elements here, it becomes a really interesting kind of landscape. You see like before, after, before, after. Okay, good. Let's close this. That was really quick, but it's a live stream, you know, it's not a tutorial, it's a live stream. Okay, pretty awesome. Let's close these and go to the other pictures. How many more do we have? Some more. Okay, that's good. All right. And then we also start to see some repeating patterns here. Okay, interesting. So this is the before. Oh, you edited again a lot of stuff here. So that's interesting. Not just sunset, which I don't think it's actually a sunset, but you actually turned it into a nice sunset. It looks more like a graphic, to be honest, than a photo. Is this like a house that you copied in from a vector graphic or something, like a PNG? Because it looks like, it doesn't look like an actual house here. Then you added some, oh God, it's not fog. How do you, smoke? Some smoke here coming from the chimney, and there is a sun here. So a lot of interesting editing. It's completely changed the picture, of course. It's interesting. Why did you remove so much of the sky? That's interesting. Wait a second, where's the chat? I didn't look at the chat, I'm sorry. Someone retracted the post. Okay, interesting. Hi Antonio, thanks for joining. Okay, so that's it's interesting. It looks pretty artificial though, but it's a nice edit. So it's a nice atmosphere in the picture, even though it doesn't look like a photo anymore. That some of the parts feel more like a graphic now. Yeah, but it's a good starting point. So that's pretty interesting. Thank you very much for posting that. Yeah, nice. Thanks. It's okay. Good. Let's go on to the next pictures here. Wow, okay. So here we have, again, a lot of editing. Let's see that. Someone looking at the sun. Sunset with the dog in front. It's nice how the hairs are getting like highlighted by the sun. That's pretty cool. Okay, interesting. Again, you have to think about using these blend ranges, as I said before. So if you, we can look at that also real quick here. If I open this up here and then I put my rectangle over that, and we have our swatches here. First of all, you can see all they go to the side, which is the way Affinity Photo is saving them. So if I click here, you can see that this part is on the side, but it should be up on the top. So you want to use your gradient tool and then just draw this in. This is the wrong side, so click and then pull it up here, like so. And now I can set it to a blend mode that I like. For example, you can use soft light, like so, and you can see how this quickly changes the look of the picture. So this is before and this is after. So you can do a lot with that. And you can also stretch these outwards. They don't have to be limited by the picture. If you want to have this bigger, you can make it bigger. But in this case, you can also see that now the front part is getting, so actually this part here in the middle, this point here in the middle should be where the horizon is, but sometimes that's not the right look. So it's not 100% rule. It's just like this is the idea where the horizon would be, but sometimes you want to stretch it out a little bit more. But you can see now that this goes also into the person, also into these darker parts of the dog, and that might not be ideal for what you want to do. And the way to deal with that, the way to play with these kind of things is again to go to the blend ranges up here with your gradient layer selected, like so. And these are the underlying composition ranges. The underlying composition is everything that's below that layer. So in this case, the original picture. And now I can, for example, click here to make a second point and then drag this down. And you can see now, if you look at these areas, how that now is staying in the darkness it had before. And you can move this over or you can move this down to really influence how much I want to have. And you can see now in the beach, for example, the beach here, these beach parts, they are darker than the sea and the sky over it. And you can see now, if you look at that area, if I pull this down, how it loses the influence of the gradient and becomes blue again. And if I move this up, you can see that this becomes orange, and you can really adjust how much orange do I want to have in what area, in what kind of brightness. So this is about the brightness of the different areas in the picture, and you can just kind of very much fine-tune that. And these blend ranges, they will also stay even if you change the gradient. That's really nice, because often Affinity Photo is resetting something, but these blend ranges that actually stay. So if I click here on another blend range, on another gradient, and click again on these blenders, you see it's the same thing. So if you have set this up once, like this, I can now go through these different looks and say, okay, what do I want to have for my picture? And these blend ranges stay the same, only the gradient changes. And this gives you a very nice way to quickly decide what kind of emotion, what kind of feeling, what kind of look do I want to have in that, in that picture. For example, here, this is more colorful, where you have a higher contrast between the orange of the sky and the blue of the water. And in this case, there's a lot more orange also in the water. So there's a lot of different ways to set this up and to have different kind of feelings in the picture. All right, let's go back to the pictures. Also, okay, there was my chatbot also promoted the pack, so that's pretty nice. I will put it in here again. So take advantage of the still ongoing early bird deal, where this is the prices of this pack are rising on Tuesday. So yeah. Okay, pretty cool. Let's go through the other pictures and then we will okay. We will have a winner. So let's look at that. You can also like put in the chat if you think, hey, this picture should be winning. You can put the name in the chat. Is this a good idea to put the name in the chat? I think, or right? It's like it's a price thing. So if you have a favorite picture, you can say, hey, this. Of course, don't nominate your own picture, but if you have another picture, say, hey, this is cool. You can do that, of course. And here's the same thing happening. Again, you can see here with the blend ranges, this area here has become this kind of violet, which shouldn't be, because this should be ambient light. So if it's there, it should be over all of the area of the picture, especially from the tree here, which is so distant from the sky. So you want to do this with the blend ranges of the underlying composition. So this is what I showed you just a second before. Thank you very much, Susan. Very nice edit. Okay, let's go to the next pictures here. By Marco, thank you very much for posting that. Wow, okay. Is this a Greek church or a Russian church? Because they both have the Orthodox Christian religion, and their churches look sometimes pretty similar. So I'm not sure. I think this is more like the Russian style, right? Oh, okay. You also rotated it a little bit and then added some colors there. Serbian Orthodox. Are these also Serbian Orthodox? It's pretty interesting. Didn't know that. Okay. Is Serbian Orthodox and Russian Orthodox kind of close or very different? Like still different? Because I think the Russian Orthodox and the Greek Orthodox are kind of similar, but they also have different styles still. So they are not like completely the same thing. Yeah. Interesting. And as you know, I'm half Greek, so I know a little bit about that. Not too much, to be honest. Very nice. I really like this kind of little detail here. If you look, here's a little, I think it's a tail light from a car or something else. And then here, this is removed. So you don't have attention on that. You just look more on the sunset and the attention is mostly on this part of the picture. While here, there's a lot of stuff going on here. And to have this kind of vanish into the darkness because you don't want to have too much attention on that is actually pretty good to do it like that. Very nice. Pretty cool edit. Thank you very much. It's same like Greece and Russia. Ah, okay, I see. Interesting. Okay, cool. Very nice. Okay, so there we have from Carol. All are similar, but not exactly the same. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Wow, okay. So this is kind of this Miami sunset, I think. Or do you know like this from Miami Vice and all this kind of, what was it like? What is synthwave? I think the synthwave music is like, is that the 80s or the 90s? I think it's the late 80s. Also with Miami Vice and so, you have this kind of pink violet kind of vibe in there. Yeah, interesting. Okay, interesting. By the way, in this one, you can see, and that's very nice, that when you look at the before picture, which is already very nice, but it kind of looks flat. Because the orange here is very uniform on the surface of the sea, I guess, or maybe it's a huge lake. And here, because you have this gradient where it changes the color and it's darker here and brighter here, you have more of a 3D area where you get sucked into the pictures. That can be a very nice effect that actually changes how you feel about the landscape. So that's pretty interesting. Very nice. Pretty interesting. You can play around more, like I said before, with the curve. And by the way, we can look at this here real quick. Let's copy this image over. So one thing I would really suggest you do is that you take the picture and then you create a curve in between your picture and the gradient you're using, because this then afterwards allows you to influence how the gradient feels on the picture. So let's go with this one here and set it to soft light. And then we also want to switch that over like so, like that. That's actually way too extreme. Is this the one you used? I'm not sure. That might be the one. Let's go like this a little bit, maybe like so. You can see this is too bright now, so that doesn't work. We have to again go in here, pull this down, and now it's going darker again, as you can see here. And now the thing we can do here with the curve is, because the blend range soft light reacts to the brightness or darkness of the background, I can now influence, as you can see, if I make areas brighter, they now have less color, and if I make them darker, they get more color. So you can actually influence how strong you want your gradient applied to that. And I can equally say, I want to have the foreground a little bit brighter and then the background a little bit darker, so you get a little bit more color in that area and a little bit less color in that area. Of course, we have to be a little bit careful here, because it has some bright areas down here too. So you also might want to work with a mask to influence that. There we go. But you can see how this can actually shape how the gradient looks. So this is without the curve, and this is with the curve. So it has a certain impact on that. And of course, also use the opacity to reduce that, to set that up. I talk a lot about that in the online course that's included. Also with the histogram, how to use that to kind of first adjust the image. Because it's good if you adjust the image beforeward. So in this case, we can go here and actually reset that to first, let's see, adjust these values a little bit here. Make it a little bit maybe like that. It's very bright here in the background. I also maybe want to change this to 16. So we have more color depth we can work with. like so. And now let's see if we have... Oh, is this still turned on? Oh, I thought I turned that off. Okay, and now if we play around with those, we can see how much that influences the image. There's like more of a blue sky here. This is very dark. This is very orange. Let's see if we pull this up here a little bit. Whoa, wait a second. Okay. Pull this a little bit higher. This is a bit more, a bit too color intense maybe. Let's go with this down a little bit, like so, 25%. And let's see the before and after. Let's make a merge here real quick. There we go. Okay, so it's kind of a slighter change. And you can see how these areas still, they stay dark, even get a little bit darker instead of getting brighter by putting that up here. All right, let's go back to the picture so we finish up the review. We are already at 1 hour. Oh my God, I took a lot more time than I wanted on the reviews. So I want to finish this up and then we go to the price. Hi Okra, thanks for joining. All are similar but not exactly the same. Oh, okay, we're talking about the church again. Okay, is this already the last one? Okay, interesting. There is, and this has a before. Oh yeah, it has. Okay, nice. So, wow, okay. Okay, so that's kind of a slight change. Interesting. And you made the foreground a little bit brighter. I'm not sure if you can actually see this on the stream because I know that the capturing makes images a little bit darker than they are. And this is a little bit brighter than the original picture where you hardly see anything in the foreground. And now you have a little bit more details in here. So that can be nice to get kind of a hint, a touch of the landscape without putting too much attention on these kind of areas, because I think the main part here is the sky and the reflection here. The colors are a bit intense, I would say, but it's still nice. If this is the way you like the view, the look you want to go for, that is still okay and still nice. Really interesting. Again, play around with the blend ranges to see how that influences that. And one thing that's also interesting in the original picture, if you look at that, we have these orange values here and then these kind of very slight violet values that feel a little bit blue. So our eye tricks us into seeing blue. There is no blue up here. I think this is mainly either a dark brown or a violet. Here with the gradient, everything turned orange. So you might want to play around with that a little bit if you want to, just as a suggestion, because these small details can also have a nice influence on how the sunset looks. Okay, let's close this down again. And here we have another one. Oh, wow, that's a nice, another nice edit. Is this again from a raw picture maybe? So this is the unedited version. And it's a nice picture, nice guiding of the eye, but as you can see, it's still very like raw. There is not much going on visually. With the editing, oh wow, you added a lot of stuff. You also, I suppose you replaced the sky because this looks way overexposed here. So I don't think there's much information in here. And then you suddenly have a really nice detailed sky here. Can paint light with a brush because on dark backgrounds where I want to create a bright but smooth moonshine, there are several circles. Even reducing the spacing doesn't help. I think what you talk about is the brush, how you set up the brush. We can look at that in a second. So wait a second, let's copy this over. I'm kind of sure that there shouldn't be any information in there. And by the way, you can check this. This is another thing I want to show you. Also part of the online course, by the way, that's included in the pack, is that if you go now to the developer persona, okay, we have to make this a pixel layer first. Let's rasterize this. Go to the developer persona. And here, up here, you have these fields that say clipped highlights and clipped shadows. And when I click here, and you can now see that these areas are actually clipped. So clipped means that this is completely white. There is no information in there. And there's the dark areas are not clipped, so that's good. You can also see it in the histogram that the darker areas don't hit this upper part. So clipping means if it hits the upper part and tries to go above it, which it can't because this is the maximum value it can reach. And so if we would reduce the exposure here, you can see that it's getting darker, or if we play around with these areas, but there is no extra information coming in this kind of area. Let's cancel this, and I use a curve on that. And again, if I pull this down, you can see there is no extra information coming here. Even if I pull this completely over here, this is just bright. So this means there you couldn't have got something out of the picture, and you probably replaced the sky, but in a very nice way. And you even edited in with the original clouds, which is very nice. It's a very nice touch. Maybe this could be that you took an I should really read the picture descriptions. It says here HDR. Okay. Okay. And this is what HDR is for, that you take different exposure steps. And so one is overexposed, the other is normal exposed, the other is underexposed, and you merge them together. And this is where you then have these details that are here overexposed, and you get the sky. So if I have read that, I would have known that in like seconds. Okay, nice. Yeah. Good. But this is also something you can do. This is also important for the landscape photography, which I don't think I'm talking about in my little online course for that. Okay. So yeah. Do we have more? Do we have more here? No, that's the last one. So I think this is also a very nice edit. So basically now I would say, wait, we can close this. We have 4 different pictures that I would select for the who can win a pro pack today. So the first one is from Niels, which is this foggy landscape, very nice. The second one is from Zachary, a very nice edit from a raw picture with the bridge and the sunset. The third one is from Milos, and he has replaced the sky, did a very nice edit, added some trees down here to guide the eye. And then the last one is from Sebastian, very nice HDR edit. Yeah, I'm not, did you actually use the gradients from my pack? I'm not sure if you did in that case. Do you want to post in the chat which you think should be the winner, or should I just decide on that? Yeah, can take a minute for that, and then we go to the can I put them side by side? I think that's a bit complicated right now. But you have seen it a second ago. So one says Sebastian should get the prize. Who is Sebastian? This one, the last one. Okay. I think the fourth is the best. That's the second person. The last looks better. Okay. So this one. Let's go through them. So this is the first one from Niels. Second one from Zachary. The third one from Milos, and the fourth one from Sebastian. The hills, okay. So we have 3 votes for Sebastian. We have 1 vote for Milos. I would not pick that foggy because it's online photo. That doesn't matter if it's an online photo or not. You can use Unsplash photos. It's more about learning the editing process. It doesn't matter where you took the picture from. Of course, you shouldn't use a copyrighted picture, but if it's from Unsplash, that's okay. Or from another page where you can use the pictures for editing. Okay. So there's another one from Milos. Okay, so it's a head-on-head race right now. Nobody is for the first 2 pictures, really? No votes for that? I think there's a little bit of Luminar in here. I'm pretty sure these are the birds from Luminar. This is also a very nice edit, especially taking into consideration the original picture. Another one from Milos. Okay, interesting. Good. So these seem to be the favorite pictures. They're also very colorful. Nice editing, nice guiding of the eye in the pictures. So I can understand why these get so many votes. And I really like this too. It's more subtle, but at the same time, really nice edit. Yeah, this is also very nice. So yeah, let's see. Some more votes maybe. So these are the head runners here. Another one from Milos, from Christoph. Okay, interesting. Maybe let me draw this out here. So can we put this side by side? 1 second. Let's try. Okay, that is getting really small now. I can't do it. I'm too stupid to do that right now. Okay, never mind. I can just click before and after. The first two have too much information. The last one is simple. Too much information. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, interesting point. That's actually a good point here, that the light is kind of uniform on everything, which is nice. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's at the same time, in these other two pictures, you have a better understanding of where to look, and this kind of guidance of the eye is nice. It's also nice in this picture that these stumps here from the pier, they don't go towards the sun, they go sideways, and then the sun is behind that in the middle. So it has a little bit of an asymmetry in the picture. So that also makes it nice. It gives it more of a balance. So that's pretty nice. Sebastian has no gradient. I think so too, that there isn't really a gradient on there. It's just a HDR edit. HDR sunset on the island of Fur, North Sea. Not claiming any wins since I just now learned about the challenge on the live stream and posted it too late. Oh, okay. So this was also posted 20 minutes ago. So this is basically a late entry and it doesn't use the gradients. Okay, so let's say the winner is Milos in that case. The other edit is really cool. Very good idea also with the HDR. So that is a very smart idea. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so Milos, you are the winner for today. I hope you're in the stream right now. I'm not sure if you are. And you can send me a message and tell me what kind of pack you want to have, what kind of pro pack you want to have, and I will send you a download link for that then. If you don't know where to find them, the overview, if you go to my channel, you can go here to playlist, and there you have free packs here. I have already created 17 free packs. That's really amazing because I create one every month. So for the last 17 months, I have created a free pack every month. That's very impressive. Unless there is maybe something missing here. But I think I put all of them in here. So you can just go through that and watch the videos and see which of those you like, and then just send me a message on Facebook. Okay. I will, is there a better way to link the playlist? Because there is one where you have an actual overview of the playlist. 1 second. Open this in a new tab. So this is not it. Wait, this is the live stream right now. This is not good. This was the live streams. Yeah, view full playlist. This is the one I was looking for. Okay, good. So I will write them here. 1 second. Okay. Hi, Milos. You are the winner of the challenge. Please have a look at all the creative packs I have created and send me a message on Facebook which one you want as a pro pack for free. There you go. Boom. Okay, so he can send me a message. I hope he sees that. Okay. Good. So this is over. That was very nice. That was fun. A lot of cool entries here. I hope you enjoyed that too. And now we're going to talk about sunset photography and photo editing. We have another like almost an hour, so that's pretty good. One of the most important things we should look at is finding good locations and taking nice pictures. And one thing, and this is also part of the online course that's included. I'll talk a little bit about that, but maybe we can talk about a little bit more detail right now. Let's go to Google Play Store. Is it the Play Store? I think it's the Play Store, right? Yes, here you find all the apps. And there's one called Photo Pills, where I will also do a review about that soon, a review video. And you can see like there's a lot of different apps. So I'm not saying you need to get this one. This is also like a paid app. There's a lot of other apps here, Sun Locator and all these kind of things. The only thing that I think is nice with Photo Pills is that it's easily to understand visually. And one of the most important parts here is that it has this kind of overlay here. And when you like go into this mode, it is like an overlay on the landscape, what you're seeing right now on your camera, and it shows you where the sun and the moon will be at a given time on a given day. So you can like calculate before where exactly from your point of view that you have right now the sun will be in 5 hours, in 10 days, in half a year, stuff like that. So it can be at the exact location, and you can do like these pictures where the sunlight is shining through, I don't know, the window of a church tower, or like here through the landscape, stuff like that. So you have a really good calculation of what is going on in your picture. That is an important part. Another thing they don't show too much here in these kind of previews is that they have a very easy view. Like this is a more complicated view, but they actually have a very easy view on how it looks with the golden hour and the blue hour. Maybe we can find another picture. Let me see. How do I close this? 1 second. Let's go here to Photo Pills. I guess they also have a website. Yeah, they do. Okay. So maybe there is a better kind of view here. You can see they offer a lot of different things here. And I don't see a view. Here you can see the pricing, which is like $10. It's like not super cheap, but it's very, very useful. So I kind of think it's worth it, to be honest. I wish I could now see this kind of tool where you see the golden hour, because that's very useful. They don't really show anything here. Okay, anyways, let's go back here. They give you a lot of information, like where will the sun be, and also when. You can see here like the blue hour. You probably can't see it because it's too small. Let's copy this over into Affinity Photo real quick. It's just like this, taking a good picture is the most important part of editing, because if you have a better picture, you can do better edits with that. So this is why I'm showing you this first. And you can see now here it says blue hour, and when it is in the morning and when it is in the evening, and also the golden hour, and when it is in the morning and when it is in the evening. So this is for the sunset and for the sunrise. No, that was the other way around, but you know what I mean, right? And so there's a lot of interesting information in here also for the sun and for the moon, all these kind of things that you can find out through the app. And you can also have that on a satellite map. It will show you also the shadows and yeah, all of these things. You can also, as you see, AR here, or night AR, for the movement of the moon, for the movement of the stars, stuff like that. Can be very, very useful. And it's really nice to be able to know that before it happens, and then just go there and be relaxed, and you can set your mind onto the taking the picture instead of just running around like a crazy person, you know what I mean, and just trying to find the best spot. You can just plan that beforehand, you know, so that's pretty useful. And another thing you can have here is like all these things. Again, let's copy this over because we can't see too much here. I'm not affiliated with them, by the way. I'm just like, I tested the app. It looks pretty nice. And you can see here, for example, depth of field. And the camera tells you exactly the setup you need for that. So, for example, here you can set your camera, Nikon D4S, and you can set all the other settings of your lens. And then it gives you the information of the hyperfocal length and the near limit, the depth of field, near limit, far limit, and these kind of informations that tell you about the setting up, the settings you need for your camera. Another useful things are here the star trails, where it tells you the angle and the direction and the time you need to set up on your camera to get these star trails. So it makes a lot of things very easy for you. You can also calculate the shutter speed, all these kind of things. So it makes things a lot easier. You don't have to know them, especially for the different cameras and lenses and all these kind of things. You just have the kind of information in there. So that can be very, very helpful. All right. Sun position map is easy to use. Yeah, there's a lot of different other apps. So I'm not saying you need to get this one. I just found that the interface of that is very nice. There's another one like this one, for example, the Sun Locator, that has other kind of ways to show that to you. Another thing that I like here is, for example, this one, where you get an idea on how long the shadows are, which can also be really interesting, where the shadows will fall, in what kind of direction, and how long will they be at a given time, at a given day. So that's also something that's interesting when you want to take the shadows into your picture as a style element, as a photographic element. That could be really interesting. For example, let's say you're in New York, you're on a skyscraper, you want to take a nice sunset pictures with these long shadows of the buildings over Central Park. With this app, you can know before where you need to be and how long the shadows will be at a given time to take that picture. And this kind of preparation is pretty important for nice pictures, especially on holidays where you don't have that much time anyways, you know. So that can be very, very useful. All right. So that is some information on how to prepare shooting the pictures. And like I said, also the app can show you how you need to put the settings into your camera also. So that is very nice. Okay, let's go back to editing some pictures and look at some advice here. Is there a way to use the haze removal in destructive? Not that I know of. This is something yeah, there is actually. Because let's find a picture on Unsplash real quick. Haze. Let's see. So here we have a hazy picture. Let's download this real quick. It's very hazy, so I'm not sure how good this will look, but let's give it a try anyways. So this might also be interesting for sunset and for landscape in general. Usually you go up here and then you have your haze removal here, and then this is analyzing the scene, and you can see it does a nice job here, and you can set the distance of the haze, so you can see how this comes closer to the person. If I move this forward, so shorter the distance, there's a lot of haze here, and if I move it backwards, the haze is like right now it's ending here. So you can influence that, but this is destructive. So you have the problem that this is actually rendered into the picture. And now you can do two different things. Either, of course, you can be forwards duplicate this, so you already still have the original picture, and that way it is not destructive in that kind of sense. And you can apply it then, the filter here, with the settings you want to have. Let's do this again. Has to analyze it again. Come on. There we go. Let's go like, this doesn't really look that. Let's go like that maybe. Okay, let's say this is what we want to have. Good. So this is one way you can do that. But actually what haze is a lack of contrast. It's nothing else. It's just like in these areas of the picture, you just have less contrast here, as you can see. And now haze filter applied, more contrast, and also maybe a little bit more saturation also in there. Good. So this means what you can do instead is just curves. Curves and then also your vibrance setting. It's basically the same thing. So you go here to your curves, for example, and then if I pull this down, you can see that magically my haze is going away. And I can pull this up here if I want to make the haze in the background a little bit brighter. So you can play around with that. Another thing you can do here is, let's reset this. You have the picker here, this one. So you click on that, and then I can click somewhere in the area and say, okay, I want this darker. So you click and then you pull down, and you can see how this creates a point exactly at that area of my curve, and I could put this down. So it influences mostly that kind of area, as you can see here. And I can say, okay, this area I also want darker, so it creates a second point, making this area darker. And then you can say, I want this point a little bit brighter, and it makes this point a little bit brighter. So this is a very easy way where you don't have to understand the curve that much, and you can still apply it in an easy way and influence the look and the landscape. And it's, of course, non-destructive because it's just an adjustment layer. You can turn it on and off, no problem. And you can also use a mask on that. And then let's go with vibrance here, and you can play around with that and adjust. As you can see, vibrance is a little bit softer, and it protects some areas of the picture. It also especially should protect the skin area so they don't get too extreme, because if you use normal saturation, you can see that this goes extreme, and you can see how his face, for example, suddenly starts to glow. If I pull this up, he has just like an orange face, so that's not good. And if I use vibrance, you can see that it's not as strong as an effect, and the face, the colors of the skin are more protected, so that's also nice. And you can have a little bit more vibrance basically. And you can still push up the saturation afterwards in a slight way, and then still have an influence on that. Okay, and let's make a merge here so it's easier to turn things on and off. And now if we turn this off, you can see that first of all, this is the before and after, so the haze was basically removed from the picture. And also, if we compare this, this is what the haze filter has done inside of Affinity Photo, and this is our own adjustment. So you can see there's a certain difference, but at the same time, it's non-destructive and you have more control over it. Let's go for the full view here. So this is the affinity effect, and this is what we created. And I would say it's just as easy. And I would even say that ours looks a little bit better, and you have more control. Maybe the grass is a little bit too green here, so that's not good. But yeah, you can then go back and readjust that. So that's a very easy way to do that. Okay, we can actually stick with that picture and then do some more adjustments here, as I talked about before. And there I can also go. What? Okay, I was confused, but it was applied to what Affinity did with the haze removal. So now we have this in here, and you can see that first of all, I want to reduce this a little bit here. There's a bit too much green in the grass, like so. Okay, good. Okay, and now what we have here is that the landscape looks a little bit flat, and this is kind of normal if you take a picture of a landscape that out of the camera, it most of the time just doesn't look as good. Let's have a look at the comments real quick. How do you paint the light for a moonshine? Okay, that's a bit different right now. Let's talk about this for the moment. But I can go into your question that you said with these kind of steps that you get. We can talk about that right now because I want to talk about the dodge and burn anyways. So let's create a new layer here. And if you, let's set hardness here 100%. And you can see now if I make a stroke, it goes and you get these kind of little bulbs here. It looks like a how do you say, a worm. It looks like a worm. It doesn't look like a brush stroke. The reason for that is because a brush is actually a stamp, and you stamp it dozens of times. And so when you click here on more, you have the spacing, and you can see here that these are individual stamps. So you have to pull this down. And the more you pull this down, so this is kind of a trade-off depending on how strong your computer is. If it has, of course, to do thousands of stamps, it takes a lot of CPU to do that. So this is why usually the basic setup is somewhere here where you still have these kind of worm effects. But usually you don't see that because usually you use a little bit of a soft brush. But if you have a harder brush, you want to reduce that. And then you can see that if you set it low to 1% or 2%, you get a smoother stroke. So if I do a second stroke down here, you can see that this is almost smooth. It still has a little bit of these kind of steps in here, but it's a lot smoother. Of course, it's more intense for the computer to use that. And this right now is not that intense on the computer because it's just a simple stroke. But if you have things that are more complex, for example, you're using multiple textures here, you're using different kind of brush dynamics, stuff like that, it can get super expensive for the CPU, and your computer will be very slow to apply that. And then the spacing makes more sense to have a higher spacing in there. All right. And another way you can avoid that, of course, is let's make the spacing higher again, like this. And then I simply make my brush softer, like so. And you can see now if I paint, because it's soft and it overlaps, you don't see the overlap because it's soft anyway. So this looks like it's a soft brush stroke, and it uses a lot less CPU. So this is what you normally would do, right? Okay, good. So this is how to set that up, how to avoid that. Also, I made multiple videos about using brushes. Let's go to YouTube real quick, and you can go to my channel. So always go to the channel first and click on this little icon here. That's sadly very hard to spot, but click on this, and when you enter brush, for example, you can see I did multiple videos on brushes, you know, and this is brushes explained. So it goes over the different settings, a longer video for that. And also it shows you how to design your own brushes. And here's some creative brush ideas, stuff like that. I even made a brush pack. I think this was the first pack I ever made. So yeah, have a look into that. There's a lot of information here. Like I said, go to my channel, click on the search icon, and then enter whatever you want to search for. You can also go LUT, for example, and then you find different videos. For example, I explain how LUTs work, and I show you tricks with LUTs. I also show you how to create your own LUTs. I think how to create LUTs is in here with LUTs explained. I show you how to create your own ones, so which is also good. All right, so let's go back to our landscape here. And how do you apply color to white areas? I would have to look that up, to be honest. I know how to do that, and I was about to make a video about that, but did I maybe make a video about that? Let me see. Because the most important thing about every kind of knowledge today is you know where to find it, not especially all the details, because it's just too many things to know about it. Oh, this is about gray. I should also make a video about white. This is only about gray, so I should make a video about white, but I can't tell you right now because I don't know it myself. I have to look it up myself. It's not that hard. It's basically the same thing. You just have to use another blend mode for that, and then you color white things into a color. So it's kind of easy to do that. And also with the sunset, again, like I said, with the curve, if you pull it down a little bit, if you make it not complete white, but a little bit darker, it accepts the color easier. We can have a look at that real quick. So if I make a rectangle, you can see this is complete white now. And I make a second rectangle over that with our sunset shades. Let's rotate that a little bit. and I set this now to soft light, you will see that this simply stays white. And also if you set it to overlay, it stays white. So this is not ideal for us. You can see now with hard light, for example, this would turn the color, and linear light. But what you can do here is that you simply create a curve between the white area and your gradient, and then simply like pull down the whites a little bit so they are not completely white. And you can see if I do this, they start to pick up the color a little bit. And often in bright areas, you just want to have a little bit of color. You don't want to have it super extreme, just like a hint of color, because it's bright anyways, you know. You don't have like, I mean, sometimes you have really orange or really pink clouds, but then they are already darker clouds. They are not super bright and super pink at the same time, mostly. All right, let's go back to the landscape shaping here. This is the main thing I want to show you, because this is one of the most important things or most influential things I think you can do with your picture is that, again, this landscape looks a little bit flat. And now we simply go in here, add a new pixel layer, and take our brush. And then you want to set it to soft, and you want to set it to a low opacity. Let's go with 25% here, and then set up a nice size. And you open this up, and this is like the classic dodge and burn, but I think it's pretty undervalued in the sense of using that on landscapes. It can be really important, as you will see in a second. So is this set up the right way? Wait, let's look at the... I paint with brushes on white, not 100% white, with 100% opacity, 2% flow, and 0% hardness, but it's still overlapping. Wait a second. With 2% flow, so probably that is your problem, that you use flow, a very low flow rate. We can also, let's have a look at that real quick. Let me make a white rectangle so we have a white background here in that. The flow rate influences how dry or wet your brush is. So let's give me a color here real quick. Okay, so what did you say you use? You use white, 100% opacity. Let's set this up. Then the flow rate is at 2%. And then the hardness is at what? The hardness is at 0, really. Okay, good. And so now if I make a stroke, okay, this is way too... No, wait a second. This is completely black. How do you get spacing here? Oh, okay, I see. Wait a second. What is the spacing set up here too? So this is a high spacing here. Let's set the spacing smaller. Wait, this is the flow rate. 1 second. The problem is that the spacing will also influence the flow rate, because the more you use here, the more color you get into the pictures. You can see here, if I pull this down, it's almost nothing. And if I pull this to 1%, it's getting pretty bright. And you get these ugly lines now, so that doesn't look good. That's not good at all. Don't use such a low flow rate, I would say. That's because that's not a good idea in that case. Use a higher flow rate. Let's go to like 60%. And then just use less opacity. Let's set this to 50, for example. And then if I paint here, you can see that this is nicer. And then you have to, of course, paint it multiple times to get it darker, because it will always stay at 50% with this flow rate. Or another thing you can do is to make your color less dark with that. Let's set opacity to 100%. But then, oh, okay, this is not... no, it's stopping at that point. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. But this is this is an effect of the flow rate you're having. It gets all these also like ugly edges here, so not ideal. Okay. And if you set it back to 100% with the flow rate, you shouldn't get these edges. Well, you get them a little bit. This is called color banding, what you see right here. Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. But this is digital painting, so that's a completely different matter, to be honest. And I wouldn't use Affinity Photo for digital paintings anyways, because it lacks a lot of important settings. If you want to do digital painting, go with Krita. It's completely free and it's a lot better. It has a lot more functions than Affinity Photo, because this is 100% for digital paintings, nothing else. So as you can see here, we can do really amazing artworks with that. And it has a lot of functionality that you just don't have in Affinity Photo that you need for digital painting. So I would suggest you get this one, and it's free anyways. All right, let's go back to our landscape editing here. So we still have, let's call this here, dodge and burn. All right, so we have this layer here. Okay. So, like I said, this is set now to soft light, as we always do. And then you open this here up, set the opacity lower, like let's say 25% as we had before. And then you can now paint this in here as you want. And as always, as I always say, if you go darker, it's going darker here, and if you go brighter, it's going brighter here, and if you stay with the 50%, it's not influencing at all. So you see, if I make it exactly 50, then it doesn't have any effect on it at all, although I'm actually painting here. So you can see, if I set this to normal, I actually have some painting here on. Okay, so if we use that now and make this darker, and you can see now I can, for example, paint in these areas here if I want to, and also these areas down here, and make them a little bit darker, like so. This, by the way, is a very, very good reason to have a tablet, because with a tablet, you such easier and better flow in what you're doing here. It's just a lot easier to do it with a tablet rather than just doing it with your mouse. Okay, we can paint some stuff in here. And you can see how when I make this darker, this becomes a different shape of the surface. So it moves further away or comes closer to me. And by that, I can actually shape where I want to have these kind of valleys or shadows and where I don't want to have them. So you can paint in shadows where in the original photos there are no shadows, and you can also paint in highlights where you usually don't find any, and this will then shape how the landscape is looking for you in the picture. So this can be very influential for shaping that. And of course, what you want to look out for is that you don't create any kind of strange lines here that don't look like they should be in the picture, so that the picture doesn't look really strange with that. If you use Affinity Photo for compositing, which should look real like the YouTube Benny Productions, create those if you know him. Yeah, but then just I would just go with opacity, not with flow in that case. So, and I think he has a tutorial. If you look on his channel, he has a tutorial on how he paints these lights. So if you want to know how he does it, it's probably better you ask him, because he's really an expert in these kind of areas, because this is kind of his technique, you know. So I couldn't, it's better to ask him if it's his technique, you know what I mean? So that makes a little bit more sense. I try to get better at this kind of light painting thing that he does in his videos, because I find it very impressive myself, but it's complicated. It's a lot more advanced. He makes it look really easy, but also keep in mind that what he does in his video is a time lapse. He takes a lot of time, probably hours, to create one of these pictures. So it's not as super quick and easy as he makes it look. And even if he does it in a shorter time, he has years and years of experience behind him doing these things, and probably also a lot of skill doing them. So yeah, that makes it then look easy, but yeah, it's not as easy to do it yourself. All right. So we have painted in some darker areas, and then we can also paint in some brighter areas if we want to. And with brighter areas, because they are highlights, I would suggest that you make your brush a little bit smaller and then only paint in some highlight areas. Let's go here, for example. Make these areas a little bit brighter, where we kind of expect some sunlight to hit. And often you don't really see that much of it in when you paint it on. You only see it better when you turn it on and off. So this is also kind of an advice I would give here, is to go in here and then turn it on and off to see the actual difference. And you can see that this actually makes the landscape have more shape. It just looks more 3D. You can shape it in the way you want, where you think there should be shadow, there shouldn't be shadow. And you can spend a lot of time on that. And the more you train this, the more you play around with that, the better understanding you get from this kind of effect. Another thing, and this is also important here, is that you can use multiple layers of that. So not only one, you can use like 5, 6, 7 layers if you want to on different parts of that. And you can say, okay, this is one for the vineyard, the other one is for the hills, the other one is for the guy, stuff like that. So this can be very influential on actually shaping the landscape and getting it to the kind of view you want to have. So let's make a merge here. So we can just turn the others off then. And let's go and can see, like, from the before and after, that this can have a lot of effect on the landscape. So that's a pretty important part to have. And like I said before, this is the kind of shaping you do when you shape it just with light and shadow to get some more information in there. Another thing that a lot of people do that I've never shown on my in my tutorials, but can also be interesting, is that you now would go, or before, when you start out with the picture, it really depends on what you want to do, what kind of workflow you have, and what kind of steps you want to do next is also important, is that you can go with Liquify. And let's make this bigger from my brush, like so. And the important thing about Liquify is that you want to set this rather slow, because if you pull this, you can see that it has a huge effect, and that effect can look strange. So you can reset this, and then you can play around here. This, for example, let's play with the speed, what kind of effect this has. Let's reset that. Let's set the speed down to this. So you can see that this follows slower to my brush before. Let's reset this as it was before. And then with the opacity, set this to 100%. You can see really extreme. That looks stupid. And reset this, set a lower opacity. So this has a smaller effect on that. And these kind of smaller effects, that's pretty important to set this in a smaller way, because then you can correct the other areas easier without getting these stepping stones in there. Let's hide the mesh real quick, and I want to make this smaller here and then make a higher opacity so I can show you what I mean by that. So for example, now if I will push this up in that way, and then I see, oh, this is not good and this is not good, I want to push these up, and now suddenly they become this kind of wavy structure, and you push this up and there's waves all over the place, and then your pixels start to stretch. It looks really, really strange. It doesn't look very natural, and it gets these kind of very strange effects. So this is not how to use that at all. What you want to do is to have a rather big brush for that, and then have this set in a slow, very light way, and then just push this up like in a small way, like pull these up a little bit, so you don't get these kind of strange effects. Nothing is ripping, nothing looks too out of place if you do that. And this is kind of a way, for example, where you can then, if you want to shape your landscape a little bit, you can see it's still, even if I move this up, it kind of stays natural, doesn't rip. And you can also go, you can set this up, you can go a little bit more extreme than you would. And then you have here this reconstruct mesh, where you can go back to the original, or you can overdo it, which sometimes is good, but mostly not. If I do this a little bit too much and then I tune it back a little bit, I can see where I want this to be. I can say, okay, so the hills have been here, but I might want them to be a bit more dramatic. So I pull this up a little bit, and then I can apply this to the picture. Now, of course, this is destructive as Liquify, or you can just copy it as a picture like I did before, and then do it at the end. So there's different kind of ways to do that, to apply that to a landscape. But this is like a more intrusive edit to the landscape, because you actually change the shape of the landscape. So it really depends if you want to do that or not. All right. Wow. A lot of information. I hope your head is not exploding yet. This is not the most amazing picture here that we edited, but you can still see it has a nice effect on that with the shaping. I want to, maybe, should we go more with this dodge and burn, because it's kind of a nice effect. I think I will do a special video about that, a tutorial. This is very, very good for forests. I can quickly look for a forest picture. Let's see, forests. Actually, I wanted to do more about sunsets today. Let's look for a sunset picture. Forget about that. I will do an individual tutorial about that in the future. Let me quickly have a look here on Unsplash to see a nice picture that we want to edit. Where I have kind of a hint of a sunset, but not too much. Oh, wait a second. We want to use a landscape picture too. Landscape orientation, apply. I will pull this over so you can actually see what I'm looking at, so it's not that strange. Also, I need my chat here. Okay, there we go. So are these the newest? Yes, they are the newest pictures. Here we have one with a lot of white in there, so we can have look at that. To influence that a little bit. Here's one with a lot of white in there. Not completely white. You can see there's a little bit of color in there. So maybe that can be an interesting effect. Of course, here you can think about actually replacing the sky maybe to make it look better. This is also maybe interesting. So let's look at these pictures here. I'm not sure if this is gonna work, but I will try. So let's see if we can make this work a little bit better. So let's close this. This is actually, it was more about the haze. Let's open this up. And then first I want to create my rectangle and set it to soft light. And then, I don't know, let's try this one. Again, as you can see, it's going in the wrong direction. So you want to reorientate that like so. And this already has a nicer kind of feeling, I would say. You see, it's a little bit warmer. But also you have this kind of in the face. There's this kind of horizon now in the face. So we want to adjust that. And now what we can play around with is that we create a curve in between the picture and our gradient. And now if I pull this down, you can see, first of all, this is kind of, if you look at let's look at the histogram first, you can see this is very overexposed here in the background, which is okay in that kind of, if you want to take this kind of picture like that, it can be an artistic element. So this is no problem. It doesn't, I'm not saying you shouldn't overexpose ever, because as you can see here, it can be a nice artistic element, but of course for using this, it might be a little bit problematic. But you can see now if I pull this down that the background is actually picking up these colors. Let's pull this down to an area where we say, okay, this looks kind of nice. We can go here. And then what you can do in this case, you could go, because this is very bright and the rest is not as bright. So I can use actually the blend ranges here and say, I want this to be applied only to the brighter areas of the picture. So let's move this over again. And look at this. You now get this kind of strange edge here. That's not a good look. So look out for that you don't get that. Move this back over a little bit so you don't have that. And you can make another point here to play around with that to see if this gives you good effect or not, so you don't get any kind of strange artifacts or kind of glowing lines or something like that in your picture. Okay, let's play around with these swatches here and see if we can turn this into something nice. I mean, it's a complicated picture to use it on anyway, so that's not ideal. But we can do the same thing here. Let's do the same thing here real quick, that we pull this down. And then it starts to look a little bit better. Let's see what we can do here. Like I said, it's much better if you have some kind of thing going on in the background, some kind of sunset light. If it's completely white, that's not exactly the best situation to have. Okay. Wait a second. Let's stretch this out here. Maybe pull this like so. Let's try this. Okay, and then let's see, when we have a different blend mode, like overlay, for example. Whoop, my cat is coming. Okay. Cat time now. That's kind of good here. We could now also play around a little bit with the mask here. So let's make this bigger. And then hardness 0, opacity is low. That's good. And then make it like so. Let's paint this out here so we don't have it too much on her face and on her body. Okay, so the face looks good again. Let's see. Yeah, that brings a bit more sunset in there. So that's kind of nice. And then let's do our good old dodge and burn here a little bit. Where's the soft light? There we go. And then let's make my brush a little bit bigger here. And just bring the sides down a little bit. Let's see. Okay. And then I kind of feel like I want to make the background also a little bit darker around her. Like these areas here. Just a bit. Whoa, that was no good. Although, well, wait. We can use that. And you can see now it has this kind of glow. That's not good. So we go the other direction. Or actually, no, we don't go the other direction. We use our eraser for that. Just to remove it from these areas. Let's see. Give it lower opacity also. Maybe a little bit more hardness. And then kind of remove this over here. And let's remove... make the opacity even lower so we can blend this on the sides. Okay. So that should be good. Man, it's not too bad. It's not amazing, but for the time spent, it's pretty okay. Let's make a merge here, merge visible. I'm kind of worried about that line here. I'm not happy with that. Why does it not... What's going on right now? Wait a second. So let's turn this off. Oh, it actually worked. Okay, good. Kind of there. So that's pretty okay. You see, we added some sunset to an area that's actually completely white to begin with. So And we removed the effect from the face, a little bit from her back, and made these sides a little bit darker, and then added a little bit more darkness to these shadow areas here, which also brings out her face a little bit more. And then you can also go in here and then, like I said, make a second layer where you now paint on her face different areas to also have this kind of effect. So let's make a second one. We can call this face dodge, like so. And then you would go in here, for example, and do the same thing with the face, right? Does this work? Does it do anything? 1 second. So you can see, okay, I want these sides a little bit darker, and down here a little bit darker, and maybe here around the nose a little bit darker, like so, and this part back here and this part here from the nose, and maybe these parts with the eyebrows, let's make them a little bit darker. And then we make the highlights a little bit brighter, make this smaller, like I said. So let's bring this up a little bit, so the tip of the nose, and then maybe the teeth a little bit brighter, and the eyes here a little bit brighter. All right. There we go. And you can do the same with the hair and stuff like that. So you can spend a lot of time on that if you want to. So you can, whoop, that's too small. That's too big. 1 second. There we go. I can go here and say, okay, this is a little bit darker. And then also these areas in here a little bit darker. Let's make this smaller. 1 second. So like this. You see how this shapes the surface, makes it more 3D. So that's like Dodge and Burn is really kind of a universal tool for any kind of things, anything that has a surface. And then we have these highlights here, make them a little bit brighter, like so. There we go. Just a very quick kind of edit. But now if you look at the face, this is the before and this is the after. You can see that the face now has more of a 3D shape, and the eyes and the teeth are nicer. So yeah, that's a very, very quick, easy way to do that. All right, so that's for that picture. What's the time? Oh, okay, we are 2 hours. Is there something else I wanted to show here? Yes, let's download this real quick and edit this just to, again, go over the blend range. This is really important, and it was done wrong multiple times in the challenge. So this is kind of thing I want to point out here again. Let's rotate this like so. Wait, maybe, let's see. Okay, let's set this to soft light. Okay, this is already nice. And the thing, again, the thing you want to look out for here is, let's put it like that maybe. Okay, that's good. You don't want to have this kind of glowy light on the guy, you know? Because why should the shadow suddenly glow bright orange, as you can see here? That's not a good look. So you really want to go in here and use the underlying blend ranges to not apply that to the darker areas, and just move this over until you see, okay, that is good from how it looks. It can have a little bit of violet, but not like a glowing violet, you know what I mean? And so then, as you can see here, it adds the light to it. It has a little bit of ambient light to him also in the darker areas, but not too much. And certainly they don't glow. So this is a really important part. Also here in the front, the darker areas stay dark and they don't start to glow suddenly in a strange kind of way. So, and now I can just click through these and see what kind of thing do I want to apply. For example, this is kind of nice. But yeah, you can just then play around with that. Also have these where it's turned around, as you know, in the pack, where this is blue and this is orange. It really depends on the picture what kind of gradient to use here, right? So play around with them. This is why the Pro Pack has 60 different ones of them in there. So you have a lot of range to play around with that. And again, like I said, always try a curve in between the picture and your gradient. So then again, I can go in here and I can, for example, pull this down and pull this up, or also pull this down, pull the other side up. Whoops, that was too much, sorry. to have different kind of effects, different kind of looks in here. So this is kind of a very, very good way to shape that. And the last thing I want to say is I would always also try to put a color balance on top of everything, so you can just then adjust the kind of colors you want to have in your sunset. You can see, even though you have applied the gradient, you can then fine tune it depending on the feeling, the kind of look you want to have in the picture. So that's, again, a very, very important part to use that with this kind of gradient pack, because with a sunset, it's really about these finer kind of emotions, expressions that you want to create in the picture. All right. Woo, that's it for today. As well as a lot of information. I hope your head is not spinning and you don't have a headache. It was just so many things I wanted to share with you. And there's a ton more to talk about. This is why we have basically the rest of the month to talk about landscapes. And then I will softly transition into other things. All right. Let me show you again the link to our sunset pack. Let's bring this over here. So Sunset Magic Pack. Here is the early bird link. Make use of that until as long as it's still active for the reduced price, basically, and then it will change on Tuesday. So be sure you take advantage of that before. Yeah. All right. Whew. All right, that's basically it for today. We hit the 2 hours mark. So like I said, with popular demand, you said that it's better to have a shorter stream, not to go like 5-6 hours, but to really reduce that. By the way, in the next stream, I'm going to do a composite again. So we have more of this kind of creative style again in there. So that's also important that we do that again, these kind of photo editing things. Where we create artistic composites, add elements to the pictures, be more playful with all these kind of things. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, so thank you very much for, wait, there's one more. Jens says, next time you could maybe explain the difference between the source layer and the underlying blend mode. We can address this real quick before I go. So let's switch over real quick again to the work view. So the underlying composition ranges is everything that's below the layer is the underlying composition, and the source layer ranges, that is the layer you're using right now. This is the source. So for example, if you have a picture layer where you want to remove something from that picture, like I do, for example, in my tutorial where I show how to separate lightning from the background, because lightning is bright, the background is dark. You do that with the source layer ranges. But if you want to show things from the background on top of the or in front of the effect that you have, so you want the effect not be applied to that, you use the underlying compositional ranges, which are all the colors of the picture below that. So that's the difference. This is the layer you're just active right now, and these are the layers below the layer you're active on right now. Okay, so that's that. Okay, that was a really quick explanation. That was a lot of fun. Thank you very much for joining my stream. I hope you enjoyed it. Lolo is gone now. I wanted to hold him in the camera. Lolo, oh, he's here, but he's sitting on my computer. So, yeah, good. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said, take advantage of the deal as long as it's going on. It's like just 1 or 2 more days. And yeah, it was a ton of fun. Let me know, by the way, in the Facebook group, if you have any other suggestions about landscape editing kind of tutorials you want to see or questions you want to have about that. I'm very curious about that. I think I will make a poll on the most important questions that I could answer in tutorials or the live stream. So I will do that right now, actually. So if you go into my Facebook group, which I will link right now, 1 second. I will link that right now so you can join if you want to. If I find it, 1 second. There we go. Okay. This is my Facebook group. This is my Facebook group. You can join here. All right. Everybody, thank you very much. Have a nice day or a nice night, depending on where you are, and see you soon. Bye.